right now. So what do you get when you mix superheroes, strippers, and adult beverages? One heck of a Friday show. Happy Cinco de Stripper. The chat starts now.
Welcome to the chat. I'm Tony Fox, Bonnie, Amy, Henny on the panel today. Happy Cinco de Mayo! Woo-hoo! We have quite a show planned for you today.
Do.
I mean, we really do. We got the Magic Mike guys who tell us they are on their way here. We've got over in the kitchen, we're going to be celebrating in a little bit. Drinks are being mixed up. Tamales are being made. We have our special guest chef from Nola Mocha. What else we got going? We got Wonder music. Woman and Captain America, coming by. I'm ready. I got my margarita earrings, and I also actually got my cowboy boots on because I'm going to Eric Church today. Eric Church is a big block party going on. There's like so much going on this week.
I got my boots on too.
Do you? Oh, those are very cute. Yeah, they're a little more fancy than mine. Mine a little more country.
Country.
But we'll take
This is going to be a real life happy hour for sure.
Yes, it is. It is. And we have our own margaritas too, so we like it. All right, well, let's get started chatting, shall we? All right, it's a lot of people are calling this the worst kept secret in TV news. Over on MSNBC, the hosts of Morning Joe are tying the knot. Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski announced that they recently got engaged while they were on vacation. The two have been on-air partners for the last 10 years, but rumors of a more intimate relationship have surrounded the duo for a majority of that time. So now a lot of people are wondering, how will a husband-wife on-air team do, especially when this team is known for their on-air squabbles, like this one.
Ivanka Trump and
Ivanka Trump to Bobby Kennedy?
You don't have to be so snotty.
No,
I was about to say, you didn't let me get it out. You don't have to be so rude.
Well, no,
The fact of the matter is that they are not Bobby Kennedy, as I was about to say, but you wanted to get your cheap shot in, so you got your cheap shot in.
Wow, and she still said yes. I bet dinner parties are fun at their house. Like, well, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't watch that show. I don't get into are they like that all the time?
Well, they're really not like it that much. Okay. I really was a latecomer to Morning Joe. It's MSNBC. I assumed it was all liberal. He's a Republican congressman, and she's liberal. I started watching it because all the hype about it from the election, because their ratings have improved. I think they're on from 6 to 9 a.m., and cable was just not that much of a factor. So, I mean, I had no idea they were dating. I didn't even care. But now that I see that, I don't know that it'll really affect it. But
now, when you watch it, so you didn't know. No. So what you saw did not indicate that there was a personal relationship.
I mean, they have a little bit of chemistry.
Apparently, a lot of chemistry.
Evidently so.
Yeah.
Evidently so. I guess she was married and they met there. I mean, I can see how it happens in that kind of a situation.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't know that it'll really affect. I mean, people are just used to it.
Well, especially if they've been together for that long.
As you mentioned, he's been married twice before. Last divorced in 2013. She's only been married once. She was married for 23 years. That's a very, very long time. And she officially split with her husband back in 2015. But I kind of like the fairy tale, the love story of how he proposed to her for her 50th birthday, which is May 2nd. They actually went to Paris, and I'm sorry, not France. And they went to, he made reservations at this really swanky hotel, Hotel du Cap in France. And she said she knew something was fishy because it was it was like the fanciest place they had ever gone, very fancy. And on their last night, they're walking, and they had a view of the Mediterranean, and he said, oh, I got to sit down for a moment. He kind of tricked her into thinking something was wrong, like he wasn't feeling well. And as she went to move to have a seat on the bench, he got down on one knee and he proposed to her. And she said, without a split second, she said, absolutely, I will marry you.
So she understands. She calls
she
it
said she couldn't deny it. She could not deny it, that she actually had to say yes because she loves him.
Well, I would think if they've gone this long and they're good on the air, I don't know why it would be any different, because I'm sure they've probably been living together or are close, so it's not like, you know, and if he's conservative anyway and she's liberal, they're always going to have that, you know.
Now, I did hear, someone told me that he's kind of moving a little bit more to the left, and some people surmised it was to kind of get her, you know.
Maybe she's rubbing off on him.
Could be.
Yeah.
Interesting. So here's something that was interesting. Per the LA Times, back in January, they actually visited the White House. They had dinner with the first family, and the president made the comment to her that, you know, if you guys decide to get married, you should do it at Mar-a-Lago or here at the White House. I will even officiate that for you.
Oh, I want to see that.
But what was weird was that back in August of 2016, he tweeted some not so nice things. About
Shocker
them,
there.
yes,
No.
about them, that he was tired of watching, and he called her he called her a neurotic and not very bright mess.
And he wants to officiate their wedding.
Yeah, so that was kind of
Okay.
interesting that after you threw out these horrible tweets, you're offering them to get married at your spot.
Oh, my
That's
gosh.
just
Well, it sounds like
really
she has a
weird.
pretty thick
What is he
skin,
saying? His
so-
very insecure, longtime girlfriend. So, I mean, he was even saying it then.
Wow.
Yes, very, very
All
unfortunate.
right.
But
Well,
you know
that'll be
what?
interesting to see who marries them.
Yes, wish them the best of luck. If anybody want to take a stab at love and marriage, go right ahead. Best of luck to you guys. So anyway, something else people are talking about that I am sure a lot of parents can relate to. One mom and blogger is actually throwing in the towel when it comes to her 10-year-old daughter's heavy homework load. She posted an email that she sent to her daughter's teacher on Facebook saying she is, quote, drastically reducing the amount of work that her daughter does at home, claiming her 10-year-old daughter is assigned at least 2 to 3 hours of homework every single night. And she gets so stressed out about it that she's up in the middle of the night with chest pains. She says that system simply doesn't work for her and her daughter, so they are done. Now, Amy, you're the resident mom of young kids.
Right. I have a first grader.
What's the workload like? Does this mom have a point?
I mean, I don't want to throw our school under the bus or anything because we have a really great school. But yeah, this is very relevant. This is something that we deal with every day.
Even in first grade?
Even in first grade. I
How
have
many
a
hours of
7-year-old.
homework a night does your
Sometimes up to 2 hours.
That
For
is
a first
absurd.
grader?
For a first grader,
What
yes.
kind of homework is it?
So,
that
okay,
a
if
first
you wanna
grader has for
break
2
down,
hours.
Duval County has an online curriculum that they are required to do. So that's something the teacher has really not a lot of control over,
Okay.
except that they can give them a time period that they need to or don't need to do. But this is all has to do with the standardized how they assess them and where they're at. So on our own, we sometimes have an hour or more of that a day. That's just the standardized online curriculum.
Wow.
Then if you're talking about studying spelling words, reading 20 minutes every day, a writing assignment, and then any possible review for upcoming
first
tests.
grade.
This is
Yeah,
all
that's
very
a lot.
time
Here's the thing, when you look at it, they have said until kids are like 15 and it matters for tests, that it doesn't help.
Right.
I Googled it. There's website after website does homework help, study after study, and there's nothing conclusive that says that much homework.
Agreed. You know, especially for the school age, not junior high, not high school, but the school
age,
age ones,
yeah.
the elementary is what
Yeah.
they're saying. But if you do go to the National PTA website and also the National Educators Association, they will say go with a standard 10 minutes per grade level. So a first
So,
grader
but your
could
daughter
have
should have
10
10
minutes.
minutes.
a day.
10 minutes.
Yes.
Right.
And after that,
would
she
be
can put it down.
standard. And you know, I'm not opposed to homework.
Sure.
I think it's great. It's a great way for parents to be involved and see what they're doing. I just think they need to listen to feedback of what the parents are saying. Children need to have free time
Agreed.
to play.
To be a child.
So where
learn
do you
life
Yes.
skills.
Where do
Yes.
you think the highest number of what country has the most homework? What do you think it would be?
I think it's us.
China?
Japan.
It's China.
Oh.
Now they only did
How much?
Shanghai, which
Okay.
they said it was almost 14 hours.
Yeah.
What?
13.
Education is
13.8
like-
hours
Not
a
in a
day.
day. No.
That is insane.
Yep.
How do you even?
Homework?
13.8, and mostly in math because that was one of the subjects.
Oh, wow.
So now they did say this was in Shanghai, so probably it levels out. Then number 2 was Russia at
wow.
almost
How much?
10 hours.
Well, you want
We
to talk
had
about
6.
stress.
We had 6, and Finland had the least at 3.
When I visited China and Hong Kong back 10 plus years ago, the kids there were so stressed out because they weren't able to pursue as much of the arts because they were pushed so much academically because that's their future.
All
And
right,
if
is
you
your
don't line
daughter
up,
stressed
you're far
out,
behind.
Amy, by all this homework? Because this
Yes.
mother in our story, the blogger, her daughter was. Is your daughter stressed
Absolutely,
out? Is
and
she?
stressful for us because we have
Yeah.
to chase her around every day. Sit down, do this,
Oh,
do this.
I did the
do
same
your
thing with my
homework.
son.
Like,
He was
Yeah.
stressed all the time.
Really?
And I was stressed all the time
Of
because
course.
parents want to do great by their kid. It's like a reflection of you.
I saw this woman's post and I was clapping. I
yeah.
mean, go her. But that's the thing, is you have to be prepared for the repercussion, because the school system could come back and say, look, if you don't want to do it, that's fine, but then this isn't the right school for you. So I don't like being put in that place. And fortunately for me, I have sat down with the teacher and the principal, and they're willing to come to, you know, a productive conclusion, and they don't want to create a negative environment for the kids. But at the same time, when you're, you know, in a school that's known as a talented academic, there's a certain level of keep up or move on.
Here's what you could do. Learn to write like your daughter, and you just do her homework.
Bonnie, stop.
We're not
No.
encouraging that. We're not encouraging that.
a whole nother conversation.
No.
Yeah.
Did you just tell on yourself?
Yes.
Right?
I think you did. I think you did. All right, well, if you agree with that mother letting your kid off the hook when it comes to homework, you might not agree with this next topic. A new study from a professor from the University of Essex finds that the strict moms have more successful children than those with more lenient mothers. She found that girls with more pushy, dominant parents are 4% less likely to avoid getting pregnant in a teenage period than the girls of less controlling parents. The former girls are also more likely to go to college and strive for better careers and salaries. Well, you know, my father was a strict father. I will say that. And I never got pregnant, and I graduated with a straight A. Well, you know,
Yeah, no,
I was married. I could have gotten pregnant then. I'm not, you know, but I wasn't a troublemaker. I was a straight A student that got scholarships to college, and you know, got myself into college. Graduated 3.2. I've been in radio for a long time ever since. Very successful, and he was a strict guy. So,
Same
You
here.
know, a lot of times, well, my mother was strict, but she was strict to the point of all she had to do was look at you, and you knew you were getting ready to die. All she had to do was call my name. When she called my entire name, I knew something was up. So she was strict to a point, but I have friends whose parents, like you, were so strict till it was like they literally had to sneak out of the house. One particular friend had a ladder up against her bedroom window upstairs, and she had to, I mean, it was just that bad. And let me tell you, she is a wreck today. Thank God she don't live in Florida. But her life is a wreck because of that. And she blames her parents because they were so strict
So
from her.
kind of like the
Right.
preacher's kids that rebel.
I think the difference in this study was that they were strict in the way of setting very, very strict expectations for their kids. So
That's what my father was, strict expectations.
What they had to do. So part of this quote was the measure of the expectations in the study reflects a combination of aspirations and beliefs about the likelihood of access to higher education that these parents talked about. So it was more of strict but guidelines. So all kids need those guidelines. And
I feel like we're constantly torn between, are we doing too much? Are we not doing enough? You really have to know your kid. You really have to know the difference between them just making up a story or faking it if they're upset, or like really knowing if they're upset, and just creating those guidelines, as you say, but allowing that grace and mercy if they're having a rough time, and allowing them to be a kid and understanding like how much can they handle.
Well, you know, see the expectations. You know how some kids they get money for good grades and stuff. Yeah, no. I was expected to get good grades. That was just
and don't
the
even
deal.
think about getting money for doing chores.
Yeah, that
around
was
the
just
house.
the deal.
Please.
And like, if there was a B on the report card, I was like, what happened here?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
And
that
I
was
think-
just the way it was.
And I think that it's also parents who believe that their kids can do anything. And if they believe it and you believe it, then you can do it. And I think a lot of times parents are in competition with their kids. And they might be strict, but they don't forward that thought of you can do whatever you want to do.
Wow.
So I think it's a combination, it seems, in here is what they were saying. And that you hear about a lot of athletes and famous people that credit their mothers as to being their biggest champions, and more so than dads, although I share that with you. I had a strict father.
Yeah.
More than a mother.
Interesting. All right. Well, coming up next, have you ever lied or withheld information about money from your significant other? But I bet you didn't do what this woman did. Oh my God. She hid $7,000 from her husband, and you will not be able to guess what she did. But we will tell you coming up next.